at 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
A massive winter storm that brought rare snowfall to parts of California is threatening to do the same on the East Coast. Just ahead, how the storm system could also affect parts of Texas as it moves across the country.
Outside with live cam as we kick off our Monday. The roads look great out there. 68 degrees as we begin the last Monday of February. Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, the 27th.
Thanks for joining us. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. I think the weather finally worked out. It's Sunday, at least.
You know, we saw a little bit of sunshine out there. Mike Ostrage joins us now with this very spring-like pattern around here.
Spring and or summer. So, yeah, a lot of sunshine yesterday. And word to the wise, if, you know, a lot of folks going to be outside and all, and experts say every single day, but make sure you don't forget the sunscreen.
Oh, yes.
I was working on building a fence yesterday, so my back was to the sun the whole time. Back on my neck is
no.
So if I'm moving like this morning, it's because my neck is sunburned. Anyway, yeah, and that's going to be the situation today with plenty of sunshine. Sun gets higher up in the sky, going to be out there a lot longer. So sunscreen, and more sunscreen, as the experts always advise. Out there at the airport, nice view out there right now. We do have some clouds, 69 degrees. It is very warm and it's pretty humid, but that's going to be changing maybe by the time you leave the house for work and school, depending on what time you leave, because we've got some much drier air coming on in here. There is a front which is going to move through in the next couple of hours. Wind is going to be shifting around out of the northwest. It's going to be very breezy this morning, very windy, I should say, this morning. Then winds will ease just a little bit, but that drier air is going to continue to filter on in here. We've got a whole bunch of just about everything. Everything's in bloom right now, and look what's starting to show up. Oak. Yep, we're getting into the oak season. All the leaves are falling off my live oak trees. Anyway, as far as this morning is concerned, we're humid right now, but much drier air is going to work its way on in here. Windy conditions, so we'll drop down a few more degrees with some clouds this morning. As that front moves through, it may squeeze a sprinkle out. Just a mention of it. And then later on today, much hotter air in behind the front. The dry air heats up easily. So 85 degrees, very low humidity, northwesterly wind 10 to 15 miles per hour. So yes, spring-like, so almost summer-like today, gets even hotter the next couple of days. Then another front later on in the week. We'll get it all sorted out in just a couple of minutes. Steph, Mark.
Thank you very much, Mike. New this morning, San Antonio police say one person is dead following a shooting overnight. Happened just after 11 p.m. on the city's southwest side in the 900 block of Frio City Road near Highway 90. Police say a man was shot in the parking lot of a bar. He then somehow made it back inside before collapsing. SAPD says emergency crews got there and tried to help him, but he later died. Officers were able to detain a possible suspect in another part of town.
There is new information about a fatal mobile home fire from 2 weeks ago in southwest Bexar County. The Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office now confirms that a 4-year-old who died is Arzeria Llamas. Now, the fire happened back on February 12th at Shepherd Road near Fowler Road. When they got there, the mobile home was fully engulfed in flames. They learned quickly that Llamas was trapped inside, but were unable to get to the child because of the fire's intensity. The cause of death is reported to be a combination of the fire, smoke inhalation, and the collapsed structure. 2 other people who lived in the mobile home made it out and were taken to a nearby hospital for severe burns.
Now to the extreme weather overnight. Winds topping 100 miles per hour, slamming the southern plains. Widespread damage is reported, along with reported tornadoes. And now storms are moving into the Midwest.
And everywhere from New York City suburbs to New England is bracing for significant snowfall tonight into tomorrow. But we begin with the destruction in the middle of the country. ABC's Andrea Fujii has the details.
The powerful storms rolled across the plains in the middle of the night, with destructive winds from the Texas Panhandle to Kansas. People in Oklahoma City were urged to take immediate shelter after a confirmed tornado was on the move just outside the city. The winds ripping off roofs and throwing this RV against a house. In nearby Norman, Oklahoma, the damage is described as widespread.
All I heard was like rattling. The whole house was shaking. The door was going crazy. Our front window in our third bedroom busted through, and glass was just flying through the hallway, and it was kind of scary. Yeah.
This is the same system that brought rain, wind, and snow to the West Coast, stranding drivers and closing down sections of major highways. More than 6 feet of snow fell in the higher elevations of Southern California. Hundreds of students from Orange County were stranded overnight at a camp in the San Bernardino Mountains. In Valencia, this embankment collapsed, sending motorhomes plunging into the river down below. Luckily, no one was hurt. As the storm moves east, forecasters are calling for more ice and snow in parts of Michigan, where thousands of customers were still without power 5 days after a storm blanketed parts of the state with ice. The storm is then expected to move into the northeast with heavy rain today from the mid-Atlantic to New York City and snow to the north. 3 to 6 inches expected in Boston by Tuesday. Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, already blanketed with snow earlier, gearing up for more. Tomorrow morning could be a messy commute for cities along the I-95 corridor, where several inches of snow is possible. Andrea Fuji, ABC News, New York.
Millions of Americans will be watching the U.S. Supreme Court this week. The court will hear oral arguments regarding President Biden's plan to cancel student loan debt for more than 40 million eligible Americans. The administration says the plan is to forgive up to $20,000 in debt for individual borrowers, and is covered by emergency authority allowed during the pandemic. However, a group of Republican-led states challenging the administration say that they are uniquely harmed by the plan from lost tax revenue. The Biden program has been blocked by lower courts since November. The decision from the Supreme Court is expected sometime this spring.
The Kremlin is accusing the West of trying to destroy Russia. During an interview with Russian state TV, Russian President Vladimir Putin said the goal of leading NATO countries is to, quote, inflict a strategic defeat on us so that our people suffer, end quote. Meanwhile, U.S. officials say they are confident China is considering sending lethal aid to Russia in its war against Ukraine. The possible cooperation between China and Russia isn't the only concern among U.S. officials. CIA Director William Burns says the alliance between Russia and Iran is moving at a pace that is, quote, disturbing.
Today's scheduled launch to the International Space Station was halted roughly 2 minutes before takeoff. SpaceX and NASA officials decided to call off the mission overnight after a mechanical issue linked the TEA-TEB ignition fluid was discovered. The next opportunity available for launch is tomorrow just after midnight tonight. This mission features 2 NASA astronauts, a cosmonaut, and an astronaut from the United Arab Emirates. The Crew 6 team aboard, who will be on board the SpaceX Falcon 9, are expected to be on the ISS for about half a year. This will be the 7th astronaut flight SpaceX has done for NASA over the past 3 years.
Time now, 4:37 and 68 degrees for now.
A big first win for the San Antonio Brahmas in Orlando last night. I want to find out what head coach Hines Ward had to say after getting his first Gatorade bath.
Plus, why Keldon Johnson is blaming himself for the Spurs' latest loss.
And checking TransGuide, Stephen let us know that we have an incident right now at I-10 and Bicentennial. This is way out east of town. He says it's on the eastbound I-10 access road. This is just outside Loop 410.
Let's look out there with live cam in the late 60s this morning. Humidity kind of came back overnight, but Mike says that should disappear throughout the day. We'll check in with him later on.
Pro football coverage powered by Davis Law Firm.
Second week of the XFL season, and the San Antonio Brahmas were in Orlando, Florida this past weekend to play the Guardians. Brahmas scoring right away in the first. Quarterback Jack Cohn finds Deion Yelder for the 3-yard touchdown. 2-point conversion, no good. San Antonio leads 6-0. Second quarter, game tied at 6, under 2 left in the half when Cohn finds tight end Elise Mack for the 19-yard touchdown. San Antonio goes for a 1-point conversion when Cohn throws a fade to TJ Vasher. The Brahmas lead 13-16 at the half. Third quarter, Cohn with a pretty pass to Jalen Tolliver at the goal line for a 24-yard touchdown right there. 1-point conversion good. San Antonio is up 20-6. Next up, Orlando punting, but the block is it's blocked by Travis Johnson. Brahmas recover on the Orlando 8. 2 plays later, John Hillman scores from a yard out, another 1-point conversion good. San Antonio holds on to the lead this week, unlike they did last week. Cohn had 3 touchdown passes, plus the rushing offense finished with 66 yards after having -7 at halftime. Coach Ward gets a Gatorade bath for the first win, and here is your final score. Brahmas take it 30-12, improving to 1-1 on the young season. After the Coach Ward shared with the media that both the Brahmas and Guardians flew together on the same plane for yesterday's matchup and were also on the same flight back as well.
I'm super excited, man. I really care more for the players. You know, I wanted them to experience. I've already been to the mountaintop, so I know what it feels like. But, you know, I wanted this one bad for the players because I saw the hard work that they put into it. So we're going to enjoy this one. Be kind of different getting on the plane, having to share the plane with the team you just beat. But we're not going to stop celebrating. We're going to enjoy this one. Because I know wins are hard to come by.
Yeah, I mean, I think they brought some different looks than they showed last week. And I think from start to finish, the O-line did a great job protecting me. I don't know how many sacks we had, maybe like one, but I think it was my fault anyway. So the O-line did a phenomenal job, and it was really just me just doing my job, getting the ball to the right places accurately and on time.
San Antonio Brahmas will next play the Houston Roughnecks Sunday night, 7 o'clock. Houston is 2-0 so far. If you're keeping count, Spurs have lost 16 straight. That means they haven't won a single game on the rodeo road trip, and there's only one more contest left on the road to prevent the Spurs' first winless road trip ever. San Antonio is still in Salt Lake getting ready for the last of back-to-back games against Utah after facing the Jazz Saturday. After the game, Keldon Johnson put the loss on him. Okay, so here's the Spurs schedule this week. They play tomorrow night at Utah. Then the Spurs will come back home to play at the AT&T Center to play the Pacers Thursday night, 7:30, as followed by back-to-back games with the Houston Rockets on Saturday at 7 and Sunday at 6. Houston is currently last in the NBA with the Spurs a tad bit ahead of them. And that's a look at morning sports.
What a rough season. All right, go Spurs go. Time now, 4:44 and 68 degrees for now. An important warning for everyone who uses an iPhone. Up next, how criminals are exploiting an iPhone security feature. Welcome back. It's 4:47. There's a new warning for iPhone owners. Criminals are using a security feature to gain access to the phone and the data stored on it. ABC's Trevor Alt has the details in today's GMA First Look.
In this morning's GMA First Look, an important warning for everyone who uses an iPhone. The Wall Street Journal reporting criminals are exploiting an iPhone security feature to gain access to victims' entire digital lives.
Losing things you care about, like pictures of your family, and going through that all on my own without being able to reach anyone I care about was probably one of the worst 48 hours of my life.
After stealing your phone within minutes, thieves can use your passcode to change the password to your Apple ID. That allows them to turn off the Find My iPhone feature, making it nearly impossible to track, and with potentially easy access to apps that have critical personal or financial information, losing your phone may be just the beginning. Coming up at 7 a.m., we'll have the expert tips you need to know to protect the personal and financial information on your phone. With your GMA First Look, I'm Trevor Alt, ABC News, New York.
Let's look out there with TransSky looking over at the situation that we were looking at earlier. This is I-10 eastbound access road near Kirby, in the Kirby area, and then we had an accident reported there. It looks like there are still crews out there working on this accident.
Yeah, way out there east of the downtown area. Mike Ostrade joins us now. How was your weekend, other than getting sunburned doing some yard work?
It was very nice. I mean, it was great to be outside.
Yes.
Started off cold on Saturday morning, cold and damp and everything. But overall, just a really nice looking weekend. It's going to, yesterday got up into the 80s, going to get hot and hotter and hotter the next couple of days. So I think we're going to hit the magic 90 mark here in town by Wednesday.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Yeah, and at least we'll have low humidity today. All right, we were talking about those winds out in West Texas yesterday. This almost looks like a picture back from the, like early 1900s with that sepia shade, but that's the dust that was kicked up there in Lubbock, and there were some gusts, some reports of wind gusts as high as 100 miles per hour out there yesterday. Now, it's going to be, by the way, thank you very much for the KSAT Connect picture. It's going to be windy around here later this morning, and then it's not going to be obviously that windy, and then the winds will ease up a little bit later on this afternoon. So we've got a lot of clouds hanging around here as of right now. Temperatures are very warm. We are 20 degrees above normal right now, mid-upper 60s, couple of low 70s out there. But then you look at the humidity and the dew point change out there to the west. Dew points are dropping off 43 degrees in Rock Springs, Junction, 28 in Fredericksburg, and all that dry air is going to continue to work its way in our direction. So the actual front is going to be moving on through here. Again, in the next couple of hours, we're looking at 7 o'clock, obviously sooner here in the hill country, pardon me, and then 7 o'clock, between 7 and 8 o'clock in town, and that will continue to pump in all that drier air. Humidity will drop like a rock. So again, maybe by the time you leave the front door, it's already going to be much drier than what it is as of right now. So it stays very low humidity, very dry all day long. It's not going to last all that long, though. It will start to make a return as we go into tomorrow. And tomorrow morning, especially down here along the coastal plain, there may be a couple of patches of fog, perhaps here in town. Some of our eastern counties will have to keep an eye out for that. But then by late tomorrow into Wednesday, yeah, humidity definitely makes a return around here, which would be the only thing really, I think, that would prevent us from hitting 90 on Wednesday if there's a whole bunch of humidity around. But then, of course, you're going to have the heat index to deal with. So no matter how you slice it, it's going to be really, really hot on Wednesday. So we've got just a couple of clouds hanging around here this morning, and the wind's going to be shifting around. 10%, 20% chance for a stray little sprinkle as that front moves on through here. Doubt it, but just don't be surprised if there is a sprinkle. We continue to clear on out, making it in the upper 70s by noon, and then 85 for a high temperature later on this afternoon. So cloud cover this morning, and again, one or two of those sprinkles as the front moves on through here. Then we are going to be clearing out very nicely, maybe a leftover cloud or two throughout the afternoon, but a good looking day around here, albeit definitely on the hot side. So the forecast goes like this today. We are going to be seeing the front move through later on this morning, and windy conditions, still breezy at noon, 78 degrees. And so we'll already be almost 10 degrees above normal by noon. The normal high right now being 70, and then we make it up to 85. So 15 above normal today, mostly sunny skies. Again, low humidity, so comfortable. Just be on the lookout, even though there's nothing formally posted, whenever you get these dry fronts moving on through here for the fire danger. Then we go into tomorrow, 87, more humid, 90 Wednesday. We're going to have more clouds around here and still very hot before the front moves through. Now, it's going to be really windy around here Thursday night into Friday. We're getting some very strong wind gusts overnight, and that'll put us back down then to normal readings by Friday and the weekend. Perhaps a shower or two with that next front on Thursday. Again, nothing fantastic as far as rain.
A warm week, though. Yeah,
very, very warm, especially the first half of the week than normal. But yeah, 90 Wednesday. So.
Okay, we'll prepare. Thank you, Mike.
Right now we're at 452, 68 degrees.
Up next, find out how well Cocaine Bear did at the weekend box office.
But first up, here are your lottery numbers this morning. Pick 3, 9, 4, 1, Fireball 7, Daily 4, 6, 3, 0, 7, Fireball 5.
Cash 5, 10, 11, 12, 15, 29. Lotto Texas 1, 4, 15, 26, 28, 32. And your Powerball numbers looking at 11, 24, 58, 66, 67, Powerball 26, Power Play 3. Good luck.
A big weekend for Cocaine Bear, plus a look ahead to the Oscars.
For our latest on what's happening in Hollywood, here's ABC's Jason Nathanson.
Cocaine Bear went on a bender this past opening weekend, gobbling up an estimated $23.1 million at the North American box office. That's a much better debut than expected. And director Elizabeth Banks tells me she was influenced by another big blockbuster you might not expect.
That initial Jurassic Park, you really got that sense, right? That they was like, wow, this is so beautiful. These animals are amazing. And then by the end, you're like, run, everybody get out, right?
It's a secret universe beneath ours.
Marvel's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania finished first in its second weekend with an estimated $32.2 million, the worst percentage drop from an opening weekend of any Marvel film. We're just inside 2 weeks from the Oscars. Over the weekend, the film Everything Everywhere All at Once won the coveted Best Feature at the Producers Guild Awards, and at the Oscars lunch, Elvis director Baz Luhrmann and his producing partner and wife Catherine Martin told me one of the exciting things about award season is meeting new blood, like Everything Everywhere directors Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert.
You you get to see this new energy, and we're very focused on, helping the new generation and being part of that. So it's exciting to see people who've never done it before.
The Oscars air March 12th on ABC. And happy birthday to Chili from the group TLC. The singer's 52 today. And that's what's happening in Hollywood. I'm Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Los Angeles.
And the time now is 4:57 and 68 degrees for now.
Millions of Americans will be watching the Supreme Court this week as they hear oral arguments over President Biden's plan to cancel student loan debt. Up next, when the court is expected to make a decision.
And Ren McCombs will be laid to rest today. Just ahead, more about the service and how it'll be live streamed.
The incident we've been watching this morning may have just cleared at I-10 at the access road out of Bicentennial east of town. We'll get a confirmation of that coming up with our very own Stephen Cavazos. Stick around.
Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
Oral arguments set to begin in the case against President Biden's student loan forgiveness plan. I'm ABC's Faith Abube in Washington. Details coming up.
Let's look out there with live cam. Starting a little humid at 68 degrees, but we're looking for that humidity to go away. But guess what? It's still going to be warm.
Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, February 27th.
Hope you had a wonderful weekend. It turned out to be pretty nice weather-wise.
It really did. And I don't know if you can officially put the winter jackets away, but Mike Osterhage will say that you don't need them this week.
Well, late in the week. For the morning low temperatures.
You'll need the winter jacket.
Well, yeah, because we're going to be down in the 40s once again by late in the week. Not this morning, though. And as a matter of fact, we were talking about humidity. We're already starting to see the effects of that front moving through parts of the hill country. I'm going to show you that in just a minute. Don't need a jacket this morning, 68 degrees. Dew point stands at 64, so a bunch of humidity out there. We've got some clouds, obviously. No wind really to speak of here in town as of yet. We're going to make it up to 85 later on today. Humidity is going to drop off, so it is going to be comfortable, and it'll be windier this morning than later on this afternoon. As far as the aquifer over the weekend, did go up 0.4 of a foot, and allergens got a whole bunch of them out there, including got some oak showing up on top of that. Ah, yes, lovely oak season is just around the corner with all that nice orange and yellow dust out there. All right, here's what's going on as far as the dew points, the measure moisture in the atmosphere. Look at that, Bandera, Kerrville, Lost Maples. Dew points have now dropped down into the 40s and even 30s. So the front and the contour on here is a little kind of in the wrong spot, but just look at these numbers. And so there's the drier air, which is working its way on in here. So it's going to move through comfort just in a matter of a few moments and continue to work its way into town. So this is going to be moving through here very quickly in the next couple of hours. We've got wind at 14 miles per hour, Kerrville, 8 Lost Maples, but wind gusts 21 and 20 respectively, Lost Maples and Kerrville. And it is going to be, like I said, very blustery this morning. Then the wind eases up somewhat. So mostly cloudy. The front comes through, windy, and we get the drier air moving on in here. That heats up much more easily than moist air does, so back up into the 80s. Yesterday was 81 degrees, and there was some humidity out there. It's going to be much, much drier today and plenty of sunshine. Then the humidity is going to start to return overnight. It's going to be hotter. It's going to especially be humid along the coastal plain tomorrow morning. There may be some fog there. Then the rest of the week, it gets even hotter. I'm thinking we're going to be pushing at 90 by Wednesday, the 1st of March, as well as on Thursday. Then another front's going to move on through here, maybe a couple of showers, but most noticeably it is going to be very windy in capital letters Thursday night into Friday, and we will be cooler back down to seasonable normals. So jacket weather, not the real heavy jacket, but just the kind of medium jacket. We'll put it that way, Mark. Details coming up in just a couple of minutes. Traffic Authority, Stephen Cavazos. Good morning, sir. How's the weekend and what's going on?
Weekend always goes by too fast, Mike, but thankfully right now traffic is moving at a steady pace. So let's get a look at that morning commute. US 90 at Loop 410. We do have some road work taking place out there, but for 281 at Grayson, you're really just seeing the commute pick up just a little bit out there. Now, we did have that crash that was reported along the access road. That was near I-10 eastbound at Bicentennial. That's already cleared out, so we're not too worried about that anymore. There's a shot to show the conditions now, so those first responders worked quickly, but it really wasn't impacting the main lanes of traffic. Giving you a wide look at the map, it is the same story here, guys. 505, we're really not seeing 504, I should say, we're really not seeing a lot of traffic out there, just a few construction spots. We'll get to that a little bit later on this morning. But let's talk about some of those travel times, because if your travels are going to take you right here to San Antonio, Still pretty green from Seguin. 29 minutes along I-10 westbound if you're traveling in this early. About 33 minutes along 87 northbound and Lavernia. And right now 27 minutes for our friends down in Floresville. So things look pretty normal, at least for right now. 37 at I-10, another shot there. Very quiet, but you can see the Alamo Dome off in the distance there. 410 at Ingram Road as well. Just seeing traffic again. Not really moving too badly at this hour. We'll continue to watch roads closely and have an update on some of those road closures. That'll be coming up a little bit later on. Mark, Steph.
Thank you, Stephen. New this morning, San Antonio police say a shooting suspect is in custody after a man was shot and killed overnight. This happened just after 11 p.m. on the city's southwest side in the 900 block of Frio City Road. That's near Highway 90. Police say a man was shot in the parking lot of a bar. He then somehow made it back inside before collapsing. Police say that emergency crews got there and tried to help him, but he later died. Officers were able to detain a possible suspect in another part of town.
It's been just over 1 week since business icon Red McCombs passed away at the age of 95. And later today will be his funeral service. The service will not be open to the public. However, it will be live streamed. It's happening this morning at 10 o'clock at the Tobin Center downtown. In lieu of flowers, the family is asking that donations for him be made at a Houston Cancer Center. For more information on that, head to KSAT.com.
2 men are in custody and another in the hospital after a shooting on the southwest side. The victim in the hospital, we're told, has life-threatening injuries. Now, that shooting happened just afternoon yesterday at the intersection of Eskimo and Ferndale Streets. When police got there, they found 2 suspects running away. Now, they were able to catch up and arrest them. The victim wasn't there, but instead 3 blocks north. At the scene, police found a gun and a vehicle with blood inside, and that's where they believe the victim was shot.
Now to the latest on President Biden's ambitious student loan forgiveness plan that aims to lift millions of eligible borrowers out of student loan debt.
The U.S. Supreme Court is set to hear oral arguments this week after the plan was paused due to 2 legal challenges. ABC's Faith Abube is in Washington with the latest.
After months in legal limbo, President Biden's sweeping student loan forgiveness plan faces a critical week at the nation's highest court. Lawyers backing 2 key legal efforts to block the plan set to argue their cases before the Supreme Court justices on Tuesday. 43 million eligible student loan borrowers anxiously waiting the court's decision.
Especially if you're low income, first generation, sometimes the debt that you'll have to take on can affect you and your family for years to come.
The Biden student loan forgiveness plan cancels $10,000 in student loans for individuals earning less than $125,000 a year and $20,000 if they were also recipients of Pell Grants. An ambitious campaign promise the president is trying to fulfill using his executive authority under the pandemic emergency.
Our student loan program is designed to give just a little more breathing room.
But separate lawsuits filed by 2 borrowers and a group of Republican-led states argue the president's plan is an illegal abuse of power and is unfair to some borrowers.
People knew what they were doing when they signed it, and they should pay it off.
But the latest Quinnipiac poll shows a majority of Americans support the student loan forgiveness plan. Roughly 1 in 6 adults carry some debt. Collectively, according to the Federal Reserve, Americans owe more than $1.6 trillion in student loans, many hoping the justices will allow Biden's plan to move forward.
It's not everything, but it would certainly help a lot and relieve a lot of that burden.
And lower courts have sided with the states, but it's unclear how the justices will rule. In the meantime, though, advocacy groups want the Biden administration to start considering backup plans in case it loses. In Washington, Faith Abube, ABC News.
508, 68 degrees.
Dish Network suffers a multi-day customer service and website outage. We're going to tell you when it's expected to be restored.
Up next, we'll take a look at a special tool being used by UT Health San Antonio to bridge the gap in healthcare in rural communities.
Let's look out there with live cam starting at 68 degrees, not cool at all, and things will warm up today and in the middle of the week. We'll be right back.
UT Health San Antonio is bridging the gap in healthcare with rural communities through its mobile nursing clinic.
The bus has 2 exam rooms, lab testing, tools to check your vitals, and all of the supplies you'd find in your regular doctor's office. Now, Dr. Sonia Hardin is the dean of the nursing college, and she started her career in rural healthcare and knows how important it is to fill that coverage gap. Over the past year, the clinic road trips have taken their care to more than 300 people in Bexar County, Castroville, and Uvalde, with more outreach missions planned.
A lot of times you can't get in with a provider on the same day that you need one. And so being out in the community will allow that to occur.
AmeriGroup Texas, a health insurance company, gave $150,000 to support the clinic road trips. Dr. Hardin says she hopes to have another bus someday to provide mental health services to rural counties as well.
512, 68 degrees.
Just ahead, how a new Bluetooth fob is turning smartphones into two-way satellite messengers.
Plus, the Department of Defense is showing off how artificial intelligence just flew a jet similar to an F-16.
To all the Chevy Silverado owners out there, the adventurers and the doers, to everyone who works hard and plays hard. Whether it's your first Silverado or your 10th. Thank you for making Chevy Silverado the #1 best-selling retail full-size pickup.
When cold symptoms keep you up, try Vicks NyQuil Severe. Just one dose starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to 9. For max strength nighttime relief, NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, sore throat, best sleep with a cold medicine.
Cats want taste. You want healthy ingredients. Let's talk Blue Tastefuls.
In the past, we've definitely made compromises.
We sent you Blue Tastefuls dry food.
She loved it. Healthy, nutritious, and delicious is always the right choice.
Pick up Blue Tastefuls in dry, wet, and singles.
Just about 5:16, satellite service Dish Network has been experiencing a significant outage for the past few days. ABC's Andrea Fujii has details in today's Tech Bites.
In today's Tech Bites, Dish Network goes dark. The satellite provider is in the midst of a major outage, knocking out the company's websites, apps, and customer support since Thursday. Workers have reportedly been told to stand by for information from management. Motorola has come up with a Bluetooth device that enables two-way emergency texting when there's no cellular signal. The Motorola Defy satellite link can be used on almost any iPhone or Android device. It's a $99 keychain accessory that's also capable of location sharing and SOS assistance. Finally, the Pentagon says artificial intelligence has controlled a specially modified F-16 test aircraft during 17 hours of flight. The flights included simulated dogfights as well as takeoffs and landings. It was all research into the possibilities of autonomous flight. Those are your Tech Bites. Have a great day.
5:17 on your Monday morning. We're trying to perk each other up here. Happy Mondays.
Yeah.
We're all getting around. I mean, it's always tough this early in the morning.
It is.
Monday.
It is. Have you all had your cups of coffee yet?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
I'll get
Still
on that
working
at
on
some
it.
point. So, but happy to be here and happy to see the roads aren't too bad. Hey,
bad at all.
things could be a little worse. In fact, we did have at least one issue that was reported earlier, but yeah, things are looking pretty good right now along 35 at Weedner. You could see that we are seeing a little bit more activity out there on the roadways, but thankfully it's nothing too major at this point. 35 at Laredo, both those upper and lower levels, you can see that it's still pretty empty for you. So if you do have to head out in the next few minutes or so, thankfully you will be in the clear. Let's go ahead and get you to the map. And as I mentioned, it is the same story here. We're going to talk about some of those road closures. Now, I mentioned this for our weekend traffic closures update, but this work will actually wrap up today. State Highway 16 along Bandera Road, utility work has been current, but again, that should be wrapping up later this afternoon. Begins at 9 in the morning and should, again, hopefully wrap around 3. What we will see out there is a southbound lane closure right there at Cedar Trail. So plan your commute ahead of time. You can scan the QR code if we can pull that up on the screen. There it is. And again, scan that QR code. That will take you to our KSAT traffic page. We have a full list of closures there, and I'm actually in the midst of updating that right now. So again, know before you go. Mike?
Thank you very much, sir. And this is a very cool picture. It almost looks wintry in the background there, but walking along the river trail there at the Louise Hayes Park in Kerrville, and a red-shouldered hawk landed and just kind of sat there. Great picture. Love that. Thank you very much. And yeah, it's going to be great weather for getting out and taking a walk today. This morning, however, hang on to your hat because we've got a front moving on through here, and it's already started to move through portions of the hill country, and it's very windy in behind this front. Temperatures, now it's dropped to 59 in Lost Maples. We're not going to see a huge drop in temperatures as the thing moves through, but we are going to see a big drop in the humidity. So 10-mile-per-hour winds, Lost Maples, 13 there at Kerrville, 15 right now, Hondo, Uvalde, and then we've got the gusts. gusts, and 12 in Bandera, 21 Kerrville, 21 also in Lost Maple. So it is going to be more blustery this morning than it will be this afternoon. So here's the drier air, which is starting to work its way in here. Dew points have dropped off about half of what they are out ahead of that front. It's already moved through Uvalde. 63 is the dew point in Hondo. So this will continue to move on in, and it's moving fairly quickly. So it's going to be a matter of hour and a half or so as it moves through here in town. And that dry air continues to come on in. So it's going to be a more comfortable day. Breezier this morning. Yesterday we did have some of that humidity out there, but of course dry air doesn't take as much energy to heat it up as it does moist air. So that's going to allow temperatures to get up into the mid 80s later on this afternoon. At least the dry air, like I said, is going to make it much more comfortable later on this morning as well as this afternoon. Here's what it looks like hour by hour. Now, as the front moves through, got a 10% chance for a little sprinkle to be squeezed out. There is that possibility. Haven't seen any reports of anything nor anything showing up on radar right now, but just don't be surprised if there is the slightest little sprinkle this morning as that front moves on through here. 78 degrees today at noon. Plenty of sunshine out there. 85 high temperature, and the wind is not going to be as strong later on today. So here's the satellite picture, and if you squint, you can kind of see this darker shade of gray moving on in here. These low clouds, they will then be clearing on out. And upstream for the next couple of days, there's really not much going on. Here's the big newsmaker. If you have any travel plans going through some of the big hubs, Chicago, Detroit, and then in the next couple of days further off to the northeast, definitely check ahead because that is going to be a doozy of a storm. You can see already a lot of ice moving through portions of Wisconsin. But again, for us, not much going on. Our next weather maker is that low out there, just moving in onto the Gulf of Alaska. That's the one that's going to bring an even stronger front. Not necessarily as far as colder air. Yes, it will get colder, but very windy conditions later on this week. 78 degrees today at noon. Mostly sunny, still breezy. We'll have stronger winds this morning. They will ease up somewhat later on this afternoon. Mostly sunny skies, low humidity. A really comfortable day to be in the shade, but still we're going to be 15 degrees above normal, and everything is well above normal except the end of the week. Now we're going to make it up into the upper 80s tomorrow. Going for 90 on Wednesday. We'll have more clouds around here and humidity, but just very warm temperatures. 89 on Thursday. Then a strong front moves on through here. It may squeeze out a couple of showers, even a thunderstorm late. Not a great chance of rain, unfortunately, but it's going to be very windy when this thing moves on through here overnight Thursday and through a good portion of the day on Friday. But, and you were talking earlier about jackets, yes, 45 degrees, that's jacket weather.
Yes,
50
it is.
is too.
Yeah, I'm
in
convinced.
the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I seemed skeptical earlier, I apologize.
Not the Polar Explorer jacket.
No.
Right.
No.
So.
But bundle up in the morning.
Later on in the week. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. 522, 68 degrees.
Up next, we're going to show you which films dominated the 29th Annual Screen Actors Guild Awards.
Let's take a look at your lottery numbers coming up. Let's see. Pick 3, 941 Fireball 7. Daily 4 numbers 6307 Fireball 5.
Cash 5, 10, 11, 12, 15, 29. Lotto Texas 1, 4, 15, 26, 28, 32. And your Powerball numbers 11, 24, 58, 66, 67, Powerball 26, Power Play 3. We're told that Powerball jackpot is at $131 million.
The 29th Annual Screen Actors Guild, or SAG Awards, took place last night. And on the film side, almost everything was won by everywhere.
CNN's David Daniel has the highlights in today's Hollywood Minute.
Sally Field received a standing ovation and SAG's Life Achievement Award.
There is not a day that I don't feel quietly thrilled to call myself an actor.
Brendan Fraser.
The Whale star Brendan Fraser strengthened his hold on the Best Actor Oscar race, winning for Male Actor in a Leading Role. Like many winners, he recalled first receiving his SAG card.
It made me feel like I belonged. We're actors. We all want to belong to a tribe. And that's when I found where I belonged. And if you told that guy back then that I'd be standing right here, right now, I would not have believed you.
Jamie Lee Curtis began an unbelievable run for Everything Everywhere All at Once, winning for Female Actor in a Supporting Role.
I love actors. I love acting. I love the job we get to do. I love being a part of a crew. I love being a part of a cast.
Castmate Kihui Kwan took the baton, winning Male Actor in a Supporting Role, the first Asian male to win an individual SAG award.
To all those at home who are watching, who are struggling and waiting to be seen, please keep on going, because the spotlight will one day find you.
I think if I speak, my heart will explode.
Then Michelle Yeoh took Female Actor in a Leading Role, the first Asian woman to receive a leading film acting honor.
This is not just for me. This is for every little girl that looks like me.
And Everything Everywhere ended the night winning Outstanding Performance by a Cast in a Motion Picture, a cast including 94-year-old James Hong, whose career began nearly 70 years ago.
The producer said the Asians were not good enough and they are not box office. But look at us now, huh?
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
527, 68 degrees.
The Kremlin is accusing the West of trying to destroy Russia. Up next, why U.S. officials are saying that they are confident China is considering sending lethal aid to Russia in its war against Ukraine.
If you're thinking about flying to your vacation destination this summer, you won't be alone. Just ahead, why more fellow travelers could be actually good news for your wallet.
Plus, why families of the Robb Elementary victims are speaking out against the documentary again. We'll explain why.
This morning, while Russia accuses the West of trying to destroy Russia, the U.S. remains focused on aiding Ukraine. How China may be getting ready to provide military aid to Russia.
And let's look out there with live cam. We're at 68 degrees, but it's shaping up to be a warm week for the last few days of February.
Yep, the last Monday of February. Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, the 27th.
Thanks for joining us. Hope you had a wonderful weekend and maybe got some rest and ready to enjoy the warm weather.
Yeah, it's going to be just basically hot, at least the first half of the week. It's funny, Saturday started off jacket weather in the morning, kind of dampish, and then warmed up. Yesterday was warm and almost on the humid side, and then we're going to lose the humidity. As a matter of fact, as we speak, the humidity is dropping down in portions of the hill country with a pretty potent front moving on through here. But again, it's one of those where the drier air comes in and then things are just going to get even hotter in behind it. So we've got some clouds hanging around here still at the airport, and no fronts as of right now. Temperature 68, dew point 64, so it's very humid out there. No wind really to speak of out there at the airport, but dew point temperatures have already dropped down now. Burning stage down to 50. It was in the mid 60s elsewhere. So again, this drier air is continuing to work its way down to the southeast, down to 29 there in Los Maples, 30s, 40s out in portions of the hill country, and also the wind is going to start to pick up. It's going to be windier this morning than it will be this afternoon. 13-mile-per-hour winds up there at Kerrville, 15 in Hondo, and then we've got some gusts out there, even Burning Stage now gusting to 18 miles per hour. So again, this will continue to push its way down to the southeast, and with as quick as it's moving through here, it almost looks like within the next half hour that it's going to be through here in town. And so if I'm talking to you right now and it's humid right as we speak, when you leave the house, the humidity may well be dropping down where you are. Mold, hackberry, oak, mulberry, ash, a whole list of everything is showing up on the updated pollen count. The update will come out later on this morning. 78 at noon, 85 high temperature. Northwesterly wind, 10 to 15 miles per hour. That's going to be later on this afternoon, but breezier this morning. And again, very, very dry air. So yes, it is going to be a comfortable day out there, albeit 15 degrees above normal. It gets even hotter tomorrow, and then hotter as we enter the month of March, but then a stronger front moves on through here. What's it going to do with temperatures? Will it squeeze out rain? Details coming up in just a couple of minutes. Traffic Authority. So nothing going on the roads?
Easy morning over here, Mike. But hey, enjoy it while you can, because things will change a little bit later on. But right now, 35 at Salado Creek, you can see that it is getting busier out there, but not too bad. Even at 35 at Weidner, even though it's a busy spot, thankfully there's nothing really slowing drivers down this early in the morning. However, drive safe. We know that there will still be several road closures taking place throughout the month, so we're wrapping up again again last Monday of the month, with a few of those closures still active. We'll get to that a little bit later on in the newscast. But for right now, let's get back to those travel times. This early in the morning, it's still pretty pleasant along I-37 northbound. If you're traveling in from Pleasanton, 28 minutes to the Alamo City. And it's the usual drive time. Take your time. US 90 eastbound heading in from Castroville, 30 minutes is what you can expect. And that arrival from Lytle, 16 minutes along I-35 northbound. Let's get it back here on rotation. 2 and 1 at Loop 410 if you're heading to the airport. Not a bad commute right there. Beautiful shot, actually. And US 90 at 410 is not bad either. We'll continue to track the roads closely and have updates for you coming up a little bit later on. Guys.
Thank you, Stephen. Now to late breaking news. Crime scene investigators are collecting evidence this morning at a Chase Bank on San Antonio's far north side where someone tried to steal an ATM.
Well, this happened on Blanco Road and Loop 1604 next to the HEB Plus. Our Sarah Costa is live at the scene. And Sarah, what do you know so far?
Good morning, Mark and Steph. Well, right now we're waiting to talk to the sergeant to arrive on scene to give us more information. But what we know is whoever tried to take this ATM, they were not successful, but that ATM is still very banged up. I'm going to get out of the way because earlier, right before you tossed to us, the crime scene investigator was dusting for fingerprints and then picking up some that she found. So it looks like they tried pulling the machine out of place with heavy gold chains. You can see those on the ground right there that they left behind. You can also see that they tried to open up the machine to get to the money box, but were not successful. As for who did this, police on scene still haven't given us any information. Like I said earlier, we are waiting for the sergeant to arrive to give us more details, but you can see the crime scene investigator is here. She's dusting for more fingerprints on the outside of the ATM. What we do know is that there is video surveillance camera right above the machine, which I'm sure investigators will be reviewing that footage later this morning. Also, the crime scene investigator was taking lots of pictures and taking those measurements. And as soon as we hear from that police sergeant to arrive on scene and we get more information, we'll bring that all to you live on air and online. Live from the north side, I'm Sarah Costa, KSAT 12 News. Mark and Steph.
Sarah, thank you. Families of the Robb Elementary School shooting victims are speaking out against a documentary again. The documentary Robb, 77 Minutes of Police Incompetence by Charlie Min, was re-edited and will be released Tuesday, February 28th at a theater in the Uvalde for survivors of the shooting. Now, the film was made to highlight the events of May 24th and the months afterward. Last month, families of victims spoke up against the release of the film because they said the director misled them and was capitalizing on their tragedy. Now they're hoping to block the release of this newly re-edited version. In a statement released by Lives Robbed, the nonprofit started by 4 of the families, it says, quote, "It's obvious that Mr. Min's intention was always to focus on the horrors of that day despite his promises of a victim-driven tribute. We are pursuing legal action in an attempt to stop the documentary's release on streaming services," end quote. The G20 meeting held over the weekend ended with all but 2 countries condemning Russia's unprovoked offensive in Ukraine.
As CNN's John Lawrence reports, the holdouts China and Russia and U.S. officials have concerns about a potential link between those 2 superpowers.
The Kremlin is accusing the West of trying to destroy Russia.
They have one goal: to break up the former Soviet Union in its main part, the Russian Federation.
During an interview with Russian state TV, Russian President Vladimir Putin said the goal of leading NATO countries is to, quote, "inflict a strategic defeat on us so that our people suffer."
How can we, under these conditions, not take into account their nuclear potentials? They supply Ukraine with weapons worth tens of billions of dollars, because this is participation in the usual sense.
Speaking of participation, U.S. officials say they are confident China is considering sending lethal aid to Russia in its war against Ukraine.
Beijing will have to make its own decisions about how it proceeds, whether it provides military assistance. But if it goes down that road, it will come at real cost to China.
As the Russian invasion of Ukraine enters its 2nd year, President Joe Biden's administration's stance on the issue is clear.
We're not going to stand by and allow one country to roll over another country and try to wipe it off the mat. And we're going to build and have built a coalition of more than 50 nations to resist that and help the Ukrainians defend their own territory.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
The federal government is moving ahead with plans to dispose some of the hazardous waste from that train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. The Norfolk Southern train derailed more than 3 weeks ago. The Environmental Protection Agency says a shipment of contaminated liquid and solid waste will head to 2 EPA facilities in Ohio today. EPA's regional administrator says federal, state, and local governments will closely monitor the operation to make sure the waste is safely removed. Right now, more than 100,000 gallons of liquid waste and 5 truckloads of soil need removal.
New details about a major drug bust in Arizona. The state's attorney general says authorities recovered a staggering amount of drugs, weapons, and $2 million in cash in the Phoenix area. Some of that stash included more than 4.5 million fentanyl pills. Now, more than 3,000 pounds of methamphetamine, as well as large quantities of heroin, cocaine, and fentanyl powder. Authorities say the drug seizure was the culmination of a 3-year investigation by the Drug Enforcement Agency and police in Arizona. They say about 100 people were arrested. Investigators blame the Sinaloa drug cartel for flooding that region with illegal drugs.
A 17-year-old Florida student is accused of brutally attacking a teacher's aide who had taken away his Nintendo Switch device. Authorities have now identified the school staffer as Joan Nidick. Investigators say when the teacher's aide at the high school took away the student's video game away, he chased after her into a hallway and, according to the report, pushed the victim so hard it took her off her feet into the air 5 to 6 feet, knocking her unconscious. You see some of the video here from the scene. The student is charged with felony aggravated battery and will be subject to school discipline, including possible expulsion.
Time now is 5:40 and 68 degrees for now.
Summer flights are expected to exceed pre-pandemic levels this year. Coming up, why that may be good news for travelers soon.
Many Americans are struggling with the rising cost of living. Up next, how a hotter than expected inflation gauge could only make it worse.
And outside with live cam this morning, a somewhat blurry shot out there at 410 and I-10. You're watching GMSA on this Monday, the last Monday of the month of February, as we jump right into March. 543, a key consumer spending report released Friday shows inflation may be picking up speed again. That's raising concerns that efforts to fight inflation could stall economic growth.
CNN's Chris Wynn is tracking the trends and explains what it means for your wallet.
For Americans struggling with the rising cost of living, a hotter than expected inflation gauge will only make it worse.
I'm not making ends meet. I'm not making it. I'm spending my savings. I get paid tomorrow and already my whole paycheck is spoken for.
The Core Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index showed prices rising 0.6% on a monthly basis and 4.7% for the 12 months ending in January. It's the first time the index has ticked up in 3 months. Stocks plunged Friday morning as the report adds pressure on the Federal Reserve to continue with its rate hiking campaign.
The Fed, look, I have all respect for Jay Powell, but the fact is we lost a little bit of control of inflation. Models didn't pick that up.
But inflation is focused on services like hotels and meals out. Meanwhile, goods prices continued falling, dropping 0.7% from the previous month, and consumer sentiment is on the rise. Also released Friday, the closely watched University of Michigan's survey of consumers shows people are feeling better about the economy. Still, many fear inflation will be higher in the near term.
I think that's the hardest thing is what were considered luxuries that weren't even really that luxurious. We just can't afford it anymore.
In Washington, D.C., I'm Chris Wynn.
That's a lot of info to digest there at 544, 68 degrees out there.
Coming up next, what you need to know about a recall involving some popular candles sold at Walmart.
And checking TransGuide right now. If your travels take you at 10 at the Y near downtown, things look pretty good right now. We've got some heavier traffic at 10 and Bicentennial. That's heading out of town on the east side of San Antonio. And there's I-10 at Probant. We will be back.
Welcome back. It's 5:47 in your morning consumer headlines. This summer, flights are expected to exceed pre-pandemic levels. That's according to the TSA, who expect to see a spike in travel as soon as April. And data also shows air travel grew 32% last year. United Airlines and Air Canada are teaming up to provide 260 combined flights. Frontier is adding a non-stop flight to Jamaica from Denver. And discount airline Avalo is adding new routes. So what does this mean for customers? Experts say the competition between the airlines can actually cause those prices to go down.
More than 1 million Halloween and autumn-themed candles are being recalled after reports of glass cracking causing burns and cuts. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission says the recall covers certain scents of Mainstays 3-wick candles sold at Walmart stores. They include jack-o'-lantern, mystic fog, warm apple pie, warm fall leaves, fall farmhouse, pumpkin spice, and magic potion. You're seeing some of those in these images here. The 14-ounce candles were sold at Walmart stores nationwide and online from September through November of 2022. The recall notice cites a dozen reports of candles burning too close to the container's edge, causing glass to crack. Consumers are urged to stop using the candles and contact the manufacturer for a full refund.
And I was just looking at the TransGuide cameras. From this angle, things look fine, but let's go ahead and check in with Stephen Cavazos.
Yeah, thanks, Steph. Yeah, things have been pretty steady for the last hour or so. We did have at least one crash reported earlier. That's already cleared out. Now traffic's picking up. 35 at Wiener is a perfect example of what we'll start to see here in the next few minutes or so. A lot more activity out on the roadways. Now, 35 at Laredo is not a bad shot, but it is just, again, getting busier minute by minute as we get closer to that busy hour we all know as morning rush. So take your time as you get the morning rolling. Thankfully, no other issues are really going to slow you down. As I mentioned, as long as it stays quiet, we get to talk about some of the active road closures that are in place. This is something that has been has been going on since Monday. We'll begin today, I should say, pardon me, on US 281 along the north side of San Antonio, asphalt work. Now, that work seems to be taking place quite often in the area, and it's going to continue at least up until Tuesday, February 28th, and I expect that work to continue well into the early days of March as well. This does start at 9 in the morning and should wrap at 3 in the afternoon. So drivers, we're going to see alternating lane closures in both directions right there at Wilderness Oak. And at times, our TransGuide cameras are able to capture the big slowdowns that take place whenever that work does happen along 281. So pack your patience if you're traveling along that route a little bit later today. But other than that, traffic right now, there's your favorite mark, 10 at the Y. Wasn't looking too bad.
Yeah, there's some flashing lights.
I see
right
that.
there.
Yeah, flashing lights. So
I wonder if it's a major traffic stop or something.
Well, it could be.
Could be happening as we speak. We've got a bunch of great picture takers that contribute to KSAT Connect, and one of them's name is Woody Castanaris, otherwise known as Woody's Picks.
Nice. And you were saying about this picture?
I was joking around with Mike. I said, oh, this is in my backyard.
Here's Steph's backyard. It is definitely a jungle out there, but this is at the zoo.
Somebody's going to call 311 on you.
I know, right?
Love that. I mean, the gorgeous picture, Woody.
Nice
Thank you
kitty.
very much for that. And just a gorgeous, gorgeous tiger out there at the zoo. Today's going to be a fantastic day. Yesterday was a little bit on the humid side, but today's going to be a fantastic day if you want to go on out and head out to the zoo. They got a lot of construction and a lot of new, updates and everything going on out there. But yeah, great shot. Thank you so much for that. All right, we got some clouds here in town, and we've got the front, which is working its way on into the area. Now, as far as temperatures, nothing's jumping off the map right now. 68 here in town, low 60s, hill country, so there's no, definitive line as far as that's concerned. However, the wind is starting to shift around out of the northwest, 14 at Kerrville, 10 Los Maples, 14 Uvalde, and then we do have some gusts out there in the hill country up to close to 25 miles per hour. And the dew point temperatures, that's what's really making a difference. Dew point's already dropped down in Bernie, where it's in the mid 40s right now. We're still in the 60s, but this is going to work in here very quickly. So within the hour, or at least within the next, say, 45 minutes, it's going to be working its way through here in town. The wind will shift around, pick up. Humidity is going to be dropping off. We won't get that much colder in behind this front, but that very dry air will continue to work its way on in here throughout the course of the day, and it's going to be very pleasant. Windier this morning, not as windy this afternoon. And then, of course, the dry air heats up very easily, so we're going to make it up into the mid 80s later on today, even warmer than yesterday. As the front moves through, there could be a sprinkle or two. Wouldn't count on it. Just be on the lookout for it if indeed it does happen. And then by noon, we're already going to make it up into the mid to upper 70s. Plenty of sunshine. Like I said, windier this morning, still a breeze this afternoon. And then 85, dry air, pleasant day, nice day to walk around at the zoo, go take a walk around the area. And then it gets even hotter the next couple of days. I'm going for 90 on Wednesday for the 1st of March, 89 then on Thursday. Another pretty potent front moves through here. That's going to knock us down to basically normal readings for high temperatures as we go into Friday and the weekend, as well as the low temperatures. So we stay very, very humid. The humidity comes back in here for Wednesday, Thursday especially, and then at least least it's going to be cooler for low temperatures as we go in toward the latter part of the week and the weekend. So the forecast today, front moves through this morning, windy this morning, drier air comes on in here, mostly sunny skies, still breezy at noon, 78 degrees, and then 85 high temperature today. Mostly sunny skies, really pleasant day. Humidity is going to start to work its way back in here. We'll probably have a little bit of patchy fog around the area, especially to the east tomorrow, 87 degrees. Like I said, going for 90 on Wednesday. We're going to have a fair amount of clouds, but it's just going to be really, really warm. Still very, well, I should say hot, and hot on Thursday. Plenty of humidity as well. Then that front moves through, may squeeze out a shower. It's going to be really windy Thursday night, Friday, and normal temperatures going into the weekend. Good looking weekend. Make some plans.
Thank you, Mike. 554, 68 degrees.
Look at your winning lotto numbers. We have pick 3, 9, 4, 1, Fireball 7. Daily 4, 6, 3, 0, 7, Fireball 5.
Cash 5, 10, 11, 12, 15, 29. Lotto Texas, 1, 4, 15 at 26, 28, 32. And Powerball, which is up to $131 million, 11, 24, 58, 66, 67. Powerball 26, Power Play 3.
Good morning. Coming up here on GMA, we'll begin with a whole lot of weather. We've got the damaging winds and tornadoes that blew through Texas and, of course, Oklahoma. Some snow coming for the Northeast, big time wind in the middle of the nation, and then new blizzard warnings back in California. A lot to get to. Also, the new warning about criminals exploiting a security feature on phones to access victims' entire digital lives and how you can protect yourself. You'll see those stories and so much more right here on GMA.
Ahead in our next hour, GMSA, science says metabolism is genetic, but are you really doomed by what you're born with? We've got some simple things you can do right now to rev up your metabolism. And Stephen is tracking traffic for all of us. There's 90 at Leon Creek. I see some lights off the distance, but it just may be a whole bunch of headlights coming right at the camera. There's 37 at, and there's 281 at 410. We'll be right back.